Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 58. Disrupt your spirit and befriend fear. When I saw this in your biography, Somalia, I was so impressed because we are today on Stories About Fear. I cannot wait to learn all about you from fear. A bit about my amazing guest that Glenn has been very excited about, and I can see why. Somalia Brown, disruptor of all things and everything concerning you. Wife, author, mother, international transformational speaker, pioneer of the movement World Changers of disrupting and befriending fear. Her mandate is to train and impact millions to become the powerful world changers and disruptors. You have disruptors here with Disrupt Hers, Hers, because she has this very strong yet vulnerable feminine energy to her. Disruptors of harmful systems to prevent that in relationships, both earthly and spiritually, and by empowering those to dismantle the old ways of doing things in life and within their relationship with God. We have with us a woman of God. Welcome, Somalia. What a privilege to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much. It is an absolute honor. I am super humbled to be able to do this interview and podcast with you. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Somalia, can you please start by telling us all about your mission and how did you become a disruptor and how do you see change in your amazing mission?
Well, I can't really tell you how I became a disruptor because you have to get the book because it's really in there. No, seriously.
Really?
The pay it forward notes to my younger self really brought out why I disrupt, where it came from, the root of it. So that's in the book. Where do I see change? How do I see change? All around me. Life is always changing. And my motto is you're always a student, you're always learning. And when you grasp that, the mentality that I have is from being an elite athlete, you're never satisfied, but not satisfied as in where you're driven by the wrong energy. Let me just say that. You're never satisfied with your performance that drives you to do better. When you take that mindset and come to God's purpose, you take that mindset and you come to disrupting and changing the world, what that does is you're never satisfied at the amount of people that change. You equate, it's that transition from, you know how when you go on a job interview and they're like, do you have any experience that can transfer from job to job? You're coming to be a CEO, but you used to be X, Y, and Z. My transfer experience from an elite athlete is the mindset that you can always change, that growth mindset, that things can always be what you want. So yes, I see change all around me. When I meet someone, especially the women in my community, and shout out to them on salute to the world changers listening on Clubhouse. Thank you so much for joining. Every one of them that I've met over the phone, because I have not met any of them personally, but those that I have met and we've formed a greater bond, I've seen their greater. And that's what I try to pull and push for them to walk in. So yes, everything I touch changes.
Beautiful. You know, listening to you talk about change now, it makes so much sense that you are an elite athlete because the mindset that you have cultivated through the years, along with your body, has given you so much insight into this pretty much taboo side of us because Somalia, we do not really want to change unless circumstances push us. And it's amazing that you said this. You're using change as maybe are you using fear to your benefit to just bring out the best in you?
Absolutely. The befriending fear came when I realized that I have had fear at the root of my life from young. My mom said that at 6 months, I just stopped sleeping. Like imagine all moms, imagine a 6-month-old just no longer sleeping. I have 3, so I can only imagine what that's like. So fear has always been, everything I did was fearful. When I realized that every time fear shows up, that's what I'm supposed to do. That took years of being okay with the change. That took years of saying, you know what, enough is enough. I'm tired of this. So when I finally said I'm tired of it, fear, then I saw if I change my mind, if I shift, then these countless little mindset shifts can help me see why fear is actually coming. Because we were taught, and I tell my community this all the time, we were taught communication because it hides nonverbal. It hides our aura, it hides our spirit, right? So when someone walks into the room, the first thing you see, you feel their spirit, you feel a connection, or you don't. Well, now that we communicate and speak with words, that takes over that. Your heart is like, I don't know about this person, but they're talking a good game. So you're kind of confused. That right there, once I realized that fear was promoting a good game of fear, promoting fear, but I realized, wait a minute, if this only shows up during the major shifts of my life, the huge monumental moments, then this is what I'm supposed to do. And I started changing how I saw fear. That fear had something to give me. Fear was something to help me, where I was told fear is bad. Don't run across the street. Fear, fear, fear. I had to shift the way I looked at fear. And that's what I teach and coach the ladies in my community. What is your vice? A vice to us is something like fear to me. It's something that only shows up when you're supposed to move, because on the other side of that is the greatness that's already inside of you.
Wow. I'm loving this perspective on fear. It helps you use it as a friend, befriend it. This is amazing. And I wanted to ask you, Somalia, if someone is at the beginning of their journey, listening to us now and watching us, what would you say that the first step would be in shifting the way that they see fear? What can they do exactly?
I would say the first step to do is go back. A lot of people don't like to go back because they get stuck there. I'm one that I can go back and come right back to the future. Like, I don't want to stay in the past. Go back maybe a year or two, and sometimes you can go further, but I would start with going back. If you are brand new and you're like, you know what, fear has stopped me, crippled me. There's so many things I want to do, but I'm fearful, even as small as traveling the world alone. Go back and look at all the times fear showed up. Maybe 5 times. When you go back, what's the common denominator? What did you miss out on? What was fear trying to tell you to do, but you were reading don't do it? What was, literally sit and take 5 different instances, find that common denominator. And when you find that common denominator, I promise you what you'll see on the other side was what you were supposed to do, what you were supposed to say, who you were supposed to meet. And you will then realize that fear actually is your catapult. A lot of people say, greatness is just on the other side of your fear, on the other side of your comfort zone. It's not on the other side. I always say it's already in you. Fear comes to pull it out of you. Fear comes to make it manifest. So start with 5 situations in the last 2 or 3 years that are huge, not small ones, huge, that fear showed. Because it only shows up, I promise you, it only shows up in the thing that you are supposed to do. And that's everything. Doubt only shows up and when you're supposed to. You're not doubtful when you're doing something you're comfortable with. You're not doubtful when you're doing something you already know and you've mastered. You're only doubtful when it's something new. Why? Because you feel inadequate, but you're not really. I always tell my community, be willing to be a student and fail And we've changed the definition of failure as well. I disrupt everything, even the language. The definition of failure for us is, I mean, we take failure out and turn it into a lesson. What did I learn? So I realized that it wasn't that I was doubtful, it's that I still have my notebook full of notes because you just taught me this and I'm not comfortable doing it without my notes. That's where the doubt came from. You're never really the emotion that you feel. It reveals who you really are in that moment.
Wow, I am loving this. You know, you are going to find this strange. Half an hour before I got ready today, I was listening to Conversations with God by Neil Donald. You know him. And he was saying that God is both fear and love and peace and anxiety and everything. You have it all in one place. So you saying that fear is not on the other side. It's amazing because we always feel that we are obliged. We mentally push ourselves. That's the torment of being more, of doing more. But no, it's in that very moment you have it all. It's all within us. And it's so relieving to know that we are just okay, exactly as we are in this very moment. It just gives you so much perspective. And so much peace of mind that you don't need to look further. You don't need to cross the road to get to that wonderful insight, to the perfect scenario that gives you everything that you may need. I love it so much. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yes. No, it's in us. And I know it's cliche. I love cliches for that reason. It came from somewhere. It's in you. Everything you need when you need it is in you. Listen to what I'm saying. Everything that you need at the moment you need it is in you. The problem is what you just said right there, Roxana. We want to look outside and we doubt ourselves. We think we don't have it. But I want to give you a quick story and then I'll put it back to you just because this is going in a direction and I see it. Let's take an infant, not an infant. Let's take a toddler who's walking and they're scared to walk. Fear, scared. They're doubtful because they can't trust their legs. You know, we can run down everything. Anxiety because they're like, wait a minute, I've been on the ground. Now I'm standing upright and I'm talking, I'm walking. When you let their hand go, the security goes. That's the outside. I'm your security, right? As a child with their mom holding their hand, I'm your security. But when you let go of a toddler's hand and they're walking, what do? Look back, reach for your hand. That's the insecurity. That's the fear. That's the doubt. But when we say, you got it, keep going. I'm right here. I'm not going to let you fall. I'm right here. They look and they take a step. They take another step. Where did that come from? Inside. It was nothing I did. Nothing I held on to, nothing that I did to propel that. As a mother, all I did was encourage you. That right there is the perfect example of every fearful, doubtful, anxious moment, especially in God, when it's led by God. At that moment, when he says, you got this, it's in you, you're good to go. We just have to believe it. That toddler trusted me. See where I'm going? That toddler, my son, my daughter believed, mommy said I can do this, so I can do that. And they began to walk. That in a nutshell is what you just said. I love breaking it down into practical terms because people get a lot of information, but they don't know how to apply it. So what's the point? So I just wanted to say that because I want people to understand, especially right now, there's a big shift happening. We're in the middle of a shift and it's going to be nothing but newness, nothing but difference and change. And you're going to be that toddler again. Every shift with God, every shift into a new position, a new title, a new whatever requires you to be that student. And we all remember what it feels like to be that freshman in high school or secondary school, freshman in college. It's uncomfortable, it's fearful, it's unknown. That's where we are right now. Literally this moment at this point in time.
I am enjoying the fact that, as you say, you are making it sound and feel so relatable. And Somalia, since you mentioned children, I did not put this in my list to ask you for today, but I gotta ask you. I have one, and it's tough. What is your secret to deal with 3 children? Oh my God.
No secret. It is really the grace of God. It is absolutely the grace of God. I have 3 wonderful kids. They are very, what's the word? They were definitely God sent, each one of them. I mean, they're kids, but each one of them has um, their light that they shine at the right moment and at the right time. You know what I mean? So it's definitely tough. But God, when you ask God for the grace to be each one's mom, so if there's a parent out there that has multiple or even just one, and you believe in God, ask him for the grace to parent each one, because they're not the same. And that's one thing I would definitely learn and say, they're not the same. When you have more than one, when you have multiples, you try to parent them all the same. Like one, I have a very soft one. Another one, I have a very vocal. And another one, I have a very timid. So I can't, it's kind of like management. If you're a manager, you can't yell at all of them. Only a couple respond to yelling. But then you have a couple that respond to positive reinforcement. It's the same with kids. If you understand each one's verbal language, love language, it makes it easier. So again, it takes time in learning them.
Beautifully said. And I love it that you mentioned the love language. Again, another book that I was listening to, I think a week and a half ago. Just being sure that you are understood by the people, by the children that you are dealing with. I just have to say congratulations on you having 3 children. My baby is sometimes literally climbing the walls. So I need to adjust and I need to make sure that I do ask God for grace. This is such a great advice that I'm going to put in practice even from today. Or she
It'll
just
change your world. I promise you, because the moments when you're just like, I'm about to pull my hair out, I don't know how to reach them, it kicks in. And something you say, they just look at you and like, oh, I get it now. And you're like, that's all it took? Are you serious? But it didn't come from you. Again, it came from within. It's the wisdom of God that gives you, he gave you that child. He picked you to be that child's mom for a reason. All of you listening, if you're a mother or mother to be, your child isn't a bloop, oh, here's a baby. No, God predestined that seed with you. And he knew and knows what's in you to then transfer to that child. So when they grow up, they can continue our legacy. So he knows what they need from us. That's why you have to pull on him.
Somalia, I'm sure that every mother listening to you right now is truly grateful, because I know that I am. And since you mentioned that you are also disrupting the word fail, would you say that it's safe to just normalize failure and see it as just a normal step along the way and take out the negative that we simply associate to it? If we don't feel that, oh my God, it's not as I would have wanted things to be, but it's just a step along the way, right?
Absolutely. Again, as an elite athlete, failure. So let's say I ran track and played soccer. During that week, we worked on the failures from the week before. See, the problem is most people work on their greatness, but you're already great at that. Most people work on what they're amazing at, but you're already amazing at that. Why not work on the things that you're not good at to perfect that? And I got that from my dad. I am a right footer in soccer. Always have been, probably always will, because I still play here and there. But my dad taught me to work on my left. He said, be dual threat. Of course, I didn't understand what that was at the time. I started when I was like 3. He said to be a dual threat. Work on your left, perfect that. That way, if the ball ever comes to your left, I'm sure you watch soccer. I love soccer. Most of us do. Okay. I can say that because I know you're not from the US. So I know it's a little more loved by many. And he was right. I perfected my left, which was a weakness for me. Because if I'm strong on my right, I'm dominant on my right. Let's make it practical. I can speak with words on a piece of paper. I can speak with cue cards. But what happens when someone puts you on the spot? Can you still speak? No. So work on being put on the spot. Work on having information that you need that you can regurgitate that's from you, your brand, on the spot. So I worked on my left. Whenever they would send the ball and you're not a lefty, what do you have to do? Reposition your entire body to be able to kick with your right. That's too much time. By then, you've got 3 defenders that swarmed you and the ball's gone. If you have already practiced your left, you perfect it. Now you can come down on the left side and they're like, wait a minute, she was just on the right and in the middle. You're dual threat. And it's the same in reality. Work on your weaknesses. Work on the areas you're not good at. Perfect those. Don't let the other ones go to the wayside, but perfect the things that you're not good at. Because at some point, you're going to be thrown a curveball. When you're thrown that curveball, you're prepared. I'm a big proponent of being prepared. I practice something hard every day. I do something hard every day. And it can just be as small as when I work out, I'm tired. I've done my full set that I said I was out here, do one more set. And I'm shaking, I'm sweating, perspiring. I'm like, I'm done. That's my hard thing because it pushes you. It doesn't have to relate to my business or being a mother or a wife. It's just that hard thing that says, wow, I accomplished something today. So yes, absolutely. Failure in our community and World Changers, I have taught them, when you fail, what did you learn? First thing you find out is, what did you learn? If you went for a promotion and they were like, yes, we love you. Next round, yes, we adore you. Next round, we're going to go with somebody else. What did you learn? What happened between I adore you and we're going to go with somebody else? Where did you drop the ball? Or maybe it wasn't for you, but what did you learn? The question, the golden question is, what did you learn? What did that not getting the job teach you about yourself? And most of them will say, well, I panicked, anxiety took over, fear took over in the 3rd round. Those are the things God wants you to work on. You work on that, the next time a job interview comes, it's a breeze. You learned the lesson, you passed, now you've been elevated. Those are some of the things that I teach and coach people in my community.
Absolutely brilliant. And I wanted to ask you how you see fail from the athlete perspective. And it was just on point. Thank you for mentioning that. And I can see why you are disrupting failure. And I'm enjoying every second of it. And I hope that everyone is taking notes because I took quite some notes already. Thank you for mentioning all of these amazing things. And now, as I was hearing you say that when you push yourself harder, not necessarily with the business mindset, but in life, whenever I go to the gym and I get on this huge 1 ton machine, 1 ton of iron machine, and it's really tough, I feel amazing after finishing that exercise. You are so right, and it makes so much sense. And I think that you are maybe the 2nd person that I'm listening to, just saying that you need to work on your not so good skills. You need to work on your weak points, because everyone else, Somalia says, you need to do even better than what you're doing excellent. You need to be doing everything in such a good way, but you don't really grow, right? When you just keep on doing the same. I mean, you've already reached excellence. You've reached that high point. So thank you so much for saying that. It's like you just cannot keep on doing everything that makes you comfortable. You need to just let go of it at one point, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Put yourself in the position. See, many of us take ourselves out of, and that's another thing that I tell them all the time. When it gets hot, don't move. When it gets to that point, we all know that point, like, oh my God, what else could possibly happen? And I teach them not to say that because you draw more of the same. So when you get to that point, it's more, all right, what do I need to do? I need to dig my heels in and sit in this. Where when most of us get in that point right there, the tipping point, the breaking point, the breakthrough, guess what happens? We back up and you got to do it all over again. That's why you're always like, wow, that job was right there. Wow, that increase was right there. Wow, this was right there. That was right there. Because every time it's right there, you let your circumstances, your feelings, your emotions move you. When you learn to stay in it, stay uncomfortable, be okay with being uncomfortable, be okay, make it a friend. If uncomfortability is your issue, make that a friend. Every time I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to sit in it and I'm not going to move until it is resolved. You will see a different you rise. And that's the point of growth. You want to come out ahead of every circumstance and situation that you think with the naked eye is bad for you. But what it's really doing is awakening a side of you that only can come out with that level of squeeze. It's required in this season. In any season you're in, when this squeeze gets really, really tough, when the squeeze gets to the point like the grapes where it's about to burst, what comes out of you? It's either going to be what you need to move forward or what is going to keep you stagnant, and you have a choice. What are you going to choose? If you choose to sit, you sit, and then you follow what needed to come out that's required in your next, the new you. Not the new you, but it's a new version of you because of what you went through. Or you can choose, because it's your choice, to say, I'm going to move, and you never see what was in you. You never let the grape literally burst to know what was in you. Because half of the time, once we cross that line of fear or being uncomfortable, when we turn around, we're like, that wasn't that bad. Our mind lied to us. It wasn't that bad. Oh my God, it was not that bad. I cannot believe I fretted like that. I cannot believe I let that completely control me for a whole week. It was not that bad. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. I'm literally in awe with everything that you're saying today. This is amazing. And I cannot thank you enough for giving me, and I'm sure that to everyone watching us and listening to us, such amazing food for thought. It's like now I'm seeing things completely from the other perspective. It's the opposite of what I was thinking about until now. Thank you for that. And I realized that a quick story from my side regarding Glenn, I had this very acute anxiety of not being on camera on Instagram or even going outside without wearing makeup. It would be like, no, I'm going to die. Thank you very much. I'm not going to go out there without makeup on. And Glenn pushed me so much at one point at the beginning of summer, where I was live with him on Instagram, and I was thinking of actually telling him, you know, Glenn, I'm about to die. I cannot come online with you. This was my exact thought. And when I was there, like nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. Thank you for mentioning this, and thank you for making our talk so relatable so that everyone now can look back to certain experiences and just take some amazing lessons.
Yep.
And now, Somalia, the question that I know that everyone is waiting for, and I am super curious as well. How did it feel when you began the process of writing the Notes to My Younger Self book?
Well, before I answer that question, I want to thank you for letting me know and those around you that are listening right now that you received a shift, because that is what I tell everybody. Any conversation I have, you're going to walk away with a shift. That is my promise, not from me, but from what God has placed on my life. It helps you change. Anything you listen to about me or from me, you're going to have a perspective shift. So thank you. I appreciate that. So writing the notes to my younger self, the process was very, very good. It's very similar to something that I do myself. So I was comfortable. I think maybe one or two spots I was a little uncomfortable, and I saw it. And my assistant was like, "So what are we going to do?" I was just like, I'm going to press through. And she just looked at me, like her interaction and what she sees on a day-to-day basis with me. She's like, wow, because I really do. I don't teach, coach, say anything that I would never do. I'm never going to give you advice that I have not tried myself. That way I know what it feels like. So the book was absolutely amazing. It took what I had my name, I had my title before I even started. Like when I saw it scroll, I don't remember how it was, either in my inbox or on Instagram. I said, I want to do it, definitely because of Glenn, because love and adore him. IPC is amazing and perfectly perfect campaign. If you haven't heard of it, please check it out. When I saw it and it was part of him, I was like, yes, I'm in. I'm loving everything that Glenn does. Because that's a thing, imperfectly perfect. We're perfect the way we are. So when I got the book Notes to My Younger Self, I was just like, what do I want to tell myself? And just a snippet, just one little peek into my story. It's called Disrupting Fear, right? And Befriending Fear. Literally in the process, I asked Kazia, has anyone ever had to go all the way back to the womb? She goes, no. I had to go all the way back to the womb. That's how much of a disruptor I am. That's why when you asked me in the beginning, my disruption started early. As not even an infant. My disruption in this world started as a seed. Everything about my DNA, who I am, my mom, my dad, is all wrapped up in being a disruptor. Did I know it at the time? No. And I've been on a journey trying to understand who I am. And I think Disruptor came about maybe 2 years ago. So it's very new, but it's always been there. But again, I had to go back and really figure out how. And this process just basically tied it up in a nice little bow for me. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. The process took about, I think it was about a 6-month process, maybe. Yeah, we started in May. But it was amazing. The book sisters were amazing. The whole time, someone you could see, not from me, my point of view, me looking, you could see each one of us opening up another layer that, one, you didn't know was there. 2, was so raw, like you said, your interviews are, which I love. It was so raw that some people were just like, I don't know if I can go past this point. That was kind of like a step. There were many stopping points that if you would have stopped, your story could have stopped and it'd be okay because nobody knew the rest. But we all pushed ourselves. To say, no, you know what? Let's just go a little deeper. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. I can imagine for someone that is not yet familiar to disrupting things, that going back to the wound, and as you said a few minutes ago about fear, going back to that original thing that started it all. It is not the most simple thing to do, but we just do not want it simple. We do not want it easy. We want it challenging so that, as you said, and I love this, I'm going to use this for myself from now on, the new you to rise. The best part of you, because you will never know what gifts you have inside of you until you dig through everything that you have been experiencing and just take those amazing lessons. This is beautifully said. And I wanted to also ask you, since you mentioned the amazing Imperfectly Perfect campaign, which has beyond transformed my life completely. I'm a new person. I'm a new me. What does Imperfectly Perfect mean to you, Somalia?
That means, so when I met Glenn, he asked me this last year, and he said, I can see it in the way you talk. For me, Imperfectly Perfect means you are who you are, not just in your flaws, not in your greatness, but you are who you are at the moment adversity strikes. That's the real you. And if you accept that version of you, then everything else has to fall in line. We don't understand that when adversity strikes, your knee-jerk reaction, your first response is you. Some of us rise up immediately, but we don't know what to do with it. Some of us cower and shrink, and we don't know what to do with it. It's that middle part right there, to me, is what being imperfectly perfect. It's understanding that everything about you, from your face, your hair, your skin color, your tone, your voice, everything is used by God. Everything. There are people whose voice is so commanding, so profound. But then we have others, which I was going to tell you, like you, who have such a soft, calming, peaceful, you see what I'm saying? Everything, and I'm not saying it to you, but I'm sure someone who has a soft voice is like, I wish my voice was a little more pronounced and more profound. And someone who has a very pronounced voice is like, I wish my voice was just a little. We're never satisfied with who we are. But I promise you, you are imperfectly, perfectly perfect for your purpose. That's the key. So that's what imperfectly perfect means to me. It literally means owning everything about you, especially in the moments of adversity. Because on the top of that, people watch you when you're doing good, but they really watch you when you're in adversity, because they want to see, well, what is she going to do now? What is she going to do with this situation? And they forget all the good you've done. You could have been an amazing person for 6 months, loving, kind, gentle. And now you've got all this stuff. Your world's been flipped upside down. All kind of stuff has happened. And if you shift right there, that's what they remember. That's what people remember. But if you shift and realize and be, like you say, raw with your shift, be like, you know what? Something is happening and I need to figure out what's happening. And you walk into that, they will still honor the old you as you shift into a new you. And that's the imperfectly perfect part of, that's the best part about owning that we are imperfectly yet still perfect.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you for mentioning this. You have given me, and I'm sure that to everyone watching us and listening to us, such food for thought. And thank God it's weekend when we maybe have a bit more time to process everything, because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to just take the recording and listen to everything, because this is amazing. Such deep thoughts here, Somalia. What I wanted to know is there maybe a great lesson that you got from writing the book, from going back to some wounds from your childhood, from solving certain parts of your trauma? What would be the best lesson that you can share with us today?
So the biggest thing that I found out was that I had no choice but to be a disruptor. And what I mean by that is, when I had to go back to the womb, I realized my mom, and you'll understand as you read my chapter, my mom is an alternative. The way she thinks, everything is an alternative. And my dad on the other side was more of a rebel, more of a, I'm not going to because you asked me to. You know what I mean? That kind of, when you have two people like that and they create one, it's in your DNA. And the lesson that I learned is everything that happened from then until I wrote this book had to happen, supposed to happen, is who I am. There was a point in my life when I was playing soccer that anytime I stepped on the field, the entire field rose, as in everyone's ability just turned on. Everyone got better. They got faster. They got stronger. Their agility. And I used to get so angry because I didn't understand. It bothered me to my core. Like, why do you wait for me to get up and get on the field for you guys to do now we're winning, but we could have been winning from, like, I didn't understand it, and it frustrated, it infuriated me until college years. And then now my coach said, no, that's an influence that you have. Again, the shift. I was looking at it negative. He put it in perspective and said, no, that is the influence that you have. You raise the standard. You make people be better. You bring out the best in people just by your presence. When I finally understood that, the book, we had to go back. So going back, I realized it was in my DNA because my mom and my dad are both the same, but on opposite sides. I had to choose, was I going to be a rebel with my disruption? Or was I going to make it a disruption where people wanted to follow, which is what I tell my son, be a leader, but be a leader by example where people want to follow you. So I chose where people would want to follow me. And then I said, well, since I know it's in my DNA, now I know that my influence is just wrapped up in me. I don't try, I don't force it. It's just natural. I have people that I work with, coworkers, that they're one way with me and a different way with that when I'm not there. And people are like, what is it about you? I have no idea. That's how deeply rooted it is in my persona, my personality, that just being around me, you want to step up your game. So from the book going forward, I've realized and said, I'm going to use that and capitalize that even the more, which I know the people in my community is like, more, because we have a 6-month training that is intense. I tell them it is so intense that I made it with the intention to break you. It's intentional, and it's a culture shock. And it's not a bad breaking, but it's a breaking of all those bad habits, wrong shifts, wrong mental mindsets, wrong ideas about yourself and what you really can do. And the first group is well past their first 6 months. And my God, they have transformed outside and inside. So yeah, the book definitely helped me put it all together. Like I said, in a nice little bow, like, okay, now that influence that I know that I have, that I didn't understand that I have, is what I'm using. And that's going to change the entire game.
Unbelievable. And it makes so much sense. Remember when we first connected on Zoom, I said that there's something very calm and peaceful and so much light about you. Now it all makes sense. And honestly, I cannot wait to read your chapter. I cannot wait for the 30th of November until we get this amazing book. And I'm sure that you are also very excited to have everything put in one place so that everyone understands what you are all about. And my dear, what a privilege talking to you today, learning from you and being inspired to the core by your amazing wisdom and energy. Somalia, can you please tell us, where can we get in touch with you? What are the programs that you are currently working on? How can people work with you? Please tell us everything about you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So first and foremost, I have an app. It's called World Changers app. And I believe she has the link. And that app is a community of disruptors, those who know and those who don't know. It is a place where we come together and we stand back to back, and we fight and we press in for the disruptor in us to go out and change the world, because I can't do it by myself. So I draw those who have the same heart as I. So if that is you, if you feel led, if you feel I want that, I'm tired of fear running my life. I'm tired of worry running my life. It's not just fear, that's mine. What's yours? World Changers app, you get exclusive lives, you get resource cards. We always, which we're right in it now, it's a new month. We get information for the new month. You get a blueprint to run the entire new month. Every month you get a blueprint. That's one place. I'm on Instagram at Real One Somalia. I'm on Clubhouse almost daily at Real One Somalia. So you can they're listening now. The interview is actually being broadcasted live right now. My website is somaliabrown.com, where all of my interviews will be there. This one will be up as soon as possible. You also can reach out to my executive assistant at executive.assistant@somaliabrown.com. I have a VIP day, which is a 3-hour intensive, because everything I do is to get you going. I'm not one to keep you stagnant. I'm a mover, I'm a shaker, I'm a verb, like my tagline says, I'm a world changer. So my VIP day is a 3-hour session, intense, where you fill out and answer 20 questions prior. And I go over those. So as soon as we start, we don't waste any time. Like, how are you and what? No, we start those 3 hours and we hit the ground running. That is something that if you are ready for immediate change, immediate transformation, drastic change, this is about an hour. Imagine 3 hours of digging, going back and removing things. Your life changes immediately. That's my VIP day. That's also available. You can reach out to my executive assistant for that. And then last but not least, which I'm super, super excited because it's actually current, I am the #1 contestant in the Fab 40 competition, which is absolutely amazing. I'm super excited because that within itself is a whole nother podcast. I've been disrupting things in me that I didn't even know, and my community is getting a firsthand seat. I go in each week. Every level that I win is another level that I elevate, but it's a mirror put in my face that I literally have to look at. And it's just a little old competition, but that's what I teach you guys. I show you that even a competition about being fabulous over 40, that's supposed to be fun and light and, hey, vote for me and donate if you can. On the back end, God is digging in my heart and showing me things, and he's accelerating me. And I give my community firsthand look at that because they're also growing with me. So that link is also below. So while you're listening and she posts a link, please give me some votes. It is a daily commitment. If you're able to, thank you. That is a seed in the ground. And as I wrap up, I teach my community, don't ever sow a seed, whether you're giving someone food, giving away something in your house, taking someone out to eat who can't afford it. You're sowing a seed of time. If you're sowing a seed of money, always name it. We put things in the ground and we leave it there. If you know anything about our universe, about our world, it is seed time and harvest all the time. We are a seed-bound community. So when you give and when you give your time, you sow a seed and you name it so that when it comes back, you can see it. Many of you have seeds in the ground, but what happens is you didn't name it. So if you vote for me, I'm teaching my community so that they can see, oh, okay, this does work. You name it, whatever you need. I want more love. I want more peace. I want more joy. I want to be married. I want a house, whatever, tangible, intangible. And then you command it to do something. Command your seed to do something. This means every time you do something kind for someone, that's a seed in the ground, and you're commanding your seed to do something. Then you pray over it. You water it. Okay? Never sow a seed and not water it. Because I promise you, you have seeds that are growing. You have things that are growing in your life right now that you can't see, that are prayers years ago that you asked for, and they're walking right by you. So I'm teaching everybody in my community that. So the Fab 40 competition, is over in about 3 weeks. I would appreciate all of your votes. And if you're led to donate, please donate, because being fab over 40, I'm disrupting again what it looks like to be fab over 40. So thank you, Roxanne, for this absolutely amazing opportunity. Like I said, your voice is so soothing. It is so full of peace. I'm sure you've heard that time and time again. So you guys, thank you. And I love your community. Absolutely adore it.
Thank you, Somalia. A great honor and a privilege. And everyone watching us and listening to us, go and see Somalia's unbelievable content. Have a talk with her, vote for her. You are going to find everything, all of her links in the description of our session for today. Thank you for joining us. And Somalia, what a great honor for today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.